Headline edition, July 8, 1947.
Beachhead is a virtual city-state. It's a virtual reality world where we're replicating like a normal city that you would have in real life. The users will be able to purchase and exchange all of the goods and services that you would normally find.
To go from a media that is in front of you to a medium that is all around you and that you're a part of the story, from a storytelling point of view, is huge. But the biggest killer app of virtual reality is that it is the closest thing to reality, but without the restraints of time and space. People did love Beachhead. There was an affection factor. We want to have that affection factor back. The beauty about Beachhead is that it managed to ride just about everything and anything. Number one on the arcades, number one in China. Everybody downloaded Beachhead.
Gaming covers the most broad demographic ever. Massive multiplayer games create a whole new universe.
It's relatively easy for gamers to purchase digital assets within the games. This is a huge revenue stream for the gaming companies. This is only going to keep growing. Within Beachhead, GSR is going to be making markets on the Beachhead token against all the digital assets that are offered within the game.
The cool thing that excites me about Beachhead is to create an environment where any kind of crazy economy and a crazy market can evolve.
I guess it was a natural next step to use a Ripple protocol to allow the users or the citizens of Beachhead to trade these different digital assets.
This is like the real world. So whatever is in the real world, anything and everything, from selling shoes to selling automobiles to buying games to selling games to downloading games to entertaining people to being entertained by other people, it's everything, but in virtual reality.
What makes Beachhead different to other virtual reality games is that there's this marketplace underpinning it that's powered by decentralized cryptoeconomics.
It uses the Ripple trading engine that is like a matching engine, distributed and trustless. It's actually the only distributed trading engine that is mature enough to be used. It has a settling time of only 4 seconds. So in 4 seconds, trades are matched and settled. It's a perfect vehicle for trading.
The beauty of crypto economics, as they ascertain to a parallel universe, which is already the monetary system of the parallel universe, for us to give that life and body, it is like a perfect fit.
We haven't seen yet a generation that grew up with VR games that's gonna build games. And imagine inviting someone to your dream. It's like how powerful that is.
This is not a game anymore. Look at me. This is not a game anymore. We are using game-like dynamics because that's the interface people are used to represent the state of war that the Beachhead world is always under. There's always a tension. We want the individuals to flourish, basically. That is the dream, that is the drive, that is the expectation that people could emancipate themselves, because unlike the physical world, the entry point is much lower. So it's not a game. It's not just like a game anymore. It's the future of reality. That's what we say. That's our maxim. That's one of the things that, even though it sounds a little bit non-logical, that's just the best way to explain it.
rock and go. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the Beachhead 2020. It's coming in 2020. Wow, that is some exciting stuff. And we have got 3 people to come up here and tell you about it. I'm going to bring them up from the youngest to, let's say, the most visionary. Here we go. First of all, I want to bring up the man heading up the Asian operations out of Chiang Mai for this. He is Stefan King, the product technical manager. He's going to be engaging in a little bit of Q&A with these guys. So, Stefan, come on up and take your place on stage while I introduce your compatriots. So we've got Beachhead, but Beachhead is working in partnership with GSR. I'd like to bring up the co-founder of GSR. He was an honest-to-God rocket scientist working in defense and aerospace in Europe, but he is the blockchain architect for the Beachhead project. Please welcome Alexis Surkia. There we go. Thank you very much. And finally, of this trifecta, I'd like to bring up the chief visionary. He is a renowned artist, author, video game maker. When he made the Beachhead 2000, it was the most downloaded game in history at that time. He was the person behind the first computer-generated graphic novel, Batman, Digital Justice. And this was not fan art. This was an honest-to-God DC publication, the real deal. At the time, the second best-selling comic graphic novel in history when it was published. It was an absolute blockbuster, and he is bringing his vision to Beachhead 2020. Please welcome Pepe Moreno. Pepe, please, the visionary. Thank you. And they are Beachhead. All right.
Thank you, Andrew, for that introduction. Do I have a mic?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, great.
Hello.
So, who here has seen Steven Spielberg's new movie, Ready Player One? Raise your hand. Yes, just a few people. Well, okay. For anybody who hasn't seen this movie yet, it's definitely worth watching. I will tell you it's about a virtual reality world. So, Pepe, the movie has only recently been released, and you've actually been working on Beachhead for quite a while now. So what is your take on Spielberg's vision?
Spielberg is one of my favorite directors of all time. I do have a problem. I have a short attention span, so I get bored easily with movies. He's never bored me before. The one thing that's very peculiar about him, especially in the US as a general culture, he has a really good eye for what the culture is about to happen. He did that with Saving Private Ryan, which is the original time that Beachhead 2000 was published. So we got like completely benefited from that. The beauty, I mean, I don't want to brag about this, but we are the culture that drives those things. And we've been working in virtual reality since the release of the original game. That was the first virtual reality game ever. It didn't have a stereoscopic, but it was 360 degree. The concept was pretty much alive.
So what is the main difference between this movie and Beachhead?
If you've seen the movie, there's 2 sort of different realities. One is reality, which so happens to be Ohio, which is basically, it sucks over there. That's what the point is for going into virtual reality. However, we have the Beachhead world, it doesn't really suck. It's like we explain it the best way by saying it's a parallel world. It's the same as the real world, but in virtual reality. It's an alternative reality. Within that reality, which it has its own economy, we had entertainment venues. With those entertainment venues is where the whole part of the oasis in the movie takes place. We wanted to have control over that because that's the most incredible entertainment you would ever see. Imagine being in the Titanic the night before it sunk. We can do those things with virtual reality. It's not limited by time and space. You gotta ponder that. Space is not an issue. Real estate is not an issue. Anything could happen. That's what the economics of this is about.
So Alex, do you have anything to add to that?
I've just been a huge sci-fi fan, and this is like my contribution to making what we've read in sci-fi a reality.
We're actually really good friends. We're not faking it.
Yeah, it's my way of. I was in space before, and like now I want to make it like a virtual reality. I wanted to make it my life.
So Alex, people are a bit worried about regulations and the future of ICOs. So what is Beachhead's strategy for succeeding in this climate?
Yeah, so we started 2013, 2014 in blockchain at GSR. Our first customer was Ripple. We're market makers. And what we really wanted to do is have like a safe environment to raise money and to like get contribution in order to build a project. What we understood is that something that seems very logic, but a startup doesn't need $150 million to create a project. We just raising the money we actually need. We have funded Beachhead like from our pockets until now. The project started in 2015, and there's already like an alpha version. You can put the goggles and everything. We're presenting something that exists. The model we are bringing over, we're calling programmatic token offering. We're not selling 90% of the tokens and not keeping any tokens. We want to have aligned incentives with the token buyers. So we're holding, it's going to be the other way around. We're just selling as many tokens as we need to create the product. And there's no ICOs. We're going to sell them programmatically into the exchanges later on. So we're raising also the money needed for listing. We're going to list it in all the exchanges like we have done in the past with previous customers. And then once those tokens have value and we have aligned incentives with our investors, are we going to sell them?
Can I add something to that?
Yep.
Yeah, sure, Pepe, go ahead.
What is relevant in this process is that because we created an alternative reality, it has its own economics. Just imagine the multipliers on something like this. Somewhere along the lines, people start setting up business. We actually have some real business we do in business with. We love these guys because they have real business in the real world. We are not about, I was going to say, can I say BS?
Yeah.
There is an intention here, and that is to really make things happen. We are not going to tell people what to do, but we're going to create the technology and the tools and the enabling tools for individuals to set up shop. The kind of things that could happen with that, the sky is the limit.
So Pepe, you have an impressive history as a pioneer in comics and desktop publishing and graphic novels, like Andrew already mentioned. So you've also created games before. You have created Hellcat and Beachhead, the original version, which had an arcade version, a box version, and downloaded version. So it looks like that everything you've done in your career so far is setting you up to be creating Beachhead 2020, something expansive as that.
Well, we worked on these questions and answers a little bit, of course, but we wanted to say that because I myself, I don't remember being cognitive about all the things that I've done. I feel like I'm somewhat of a mess. I'm not trying to brag. I'm somewhat of a messenger. I just see these things coming. I see the wave coming. I set myself up, pick up the wave, and it so happens every 3 years or something. So this is the same thing, except that I've done all the components that are part of Beachhead is something that I have done before and succeeded with.
Yeah.
So by marrying the crypto economics with what I'm doing, I think that we can change the world by just inference in that regard. So he's going to speak about the team. I'd like to speak about that.
I'd like to tell us about the team.
So you have put together this team, and it's both rooted in gaming and in comics, right? So can you a bit more tell us more about these team members? I have a list here, and I would like to sort of show them off here. For example, we are working with Dave Taylor, whose credits includes massive successes like Doom and Quake.
Right, Dave Taylor, we talk, pretty much all the time. We have a team in Los Angeles. We say it's the, like the ideas teams per se. We prototype everything we do. We do production like most video games do production overseas in many ways. The thing about Dave that's extraordinary is that he has the experience and the depth of knowledge of how all this shit works. So it's not about creating games that you have to keep patching things like the Microsoft phenomenon. Keep patching forever. We're writing algorithms. The guy saw me into something that was very relevant. He said, Pepe, I have a way to make the sale itself a hype. We want people to be addicted to this sale. So imagine starting from that point of perspective. I don't want to say anything crude, but it's sort of like the sale itself is already important. So we are creating mechanisms, tools that are going to be very visceral, very natural for people to use. And that's really where we don't see ourselves doing this. This is too much work.
Yeah.
we see ourselves as creating the foundation for that to happen.
The team is super impressive. Like you have Dave Taylor from Doom or Quake, but there's like Jose Ladron. I think he did Hulk.
Yeah, that's the. I'm kind of holding my emotions on that one.
Yeah, like just please,
us
split the
about
whole
Jose.
team because like we're
No,
gonna
Jose
run out
Ladron
of.
is my friend. We've been following each other's work through the years, and we finally met. We call the two Pepes. But anyway, his credits are very impressive. You can sort of list them.
Yeah, Planet Hulk, Thor, Superman.
But those are not the things that he's best at. He's best at creating alternative realities. Anybody here from Europe will know about Moebius?
We have a guy also who did like The Shape of Water.
Yes, that's Pablo.
Like
That's part of the
less-
Mexican mafia.
Yes.
For some reason or another, we struck gold in Mexico. We got a lot of people. Pablo was
He's our
responsible for
modeler.
designing the water creature
Yeah.
and the shape of water. What I can tell you, and this is pretty obvious, team is everything.
Yeah.
I mean, we know what the prerogatives are.
Yeah.
And this brand, Beachhead brand, was designed by the person,
Yeah.
you know, Javier Romero, and he worked on Coca-Cola and Sony and CBS, and he had done 4 Time magazine covers. So
Yeah.
that's why it all looks so impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, like, we've been working on the city. The idea is to have a city. The city is at war. So everything is happening in the city, but you can go out to defend the city. And while you're trading or watching opera or something, if you get bored or you want to
There's a war going on, so you can get
you can go
bombed.
out, and then it's actually the game that you saw the footage on the end of the video. So it's like Second Life, but with entertainment. It's not
With
boring.
really big guns.
We
Yeah.
draw inspiration from, you know, the Why We Fight in the
Yeah.
early 1940s when things used to be a little bit simpler. They had this series of film that Frank Capra produced.
Yeah.
And the idea is to create an environment where there's a reason to defend something. I don't want to get into the ideology behind that, but it's sort of assholes versus sensitive people kind of thing. It's good and evil kind of thing. That's pretty much there. What that does for us is that from an entry point, that is something that is appealing to the gaming generation, probably. I mean, I'm a gamer myself, and I'm a grandfather at the same time. So the demographic is pretty broad. The tools are being there for a while, and people understand what they are. Let me tell you something about the city. What you see is the typical fortress of the 1700s, or 17th century. We have the stars where we're projecting. So the defense is taking place over here. All this area here is what we call the military-industrial complex. What we're talking, the Beachhead Defense Force. What you're gonna see in there, you're gonna see warehouses and shops where other people will be able to contribute to the defense effort and fabricate weapons of their own. These weapons happens to be like a little bit like a puzzle. To defend a city, hold on. This is where the low-class mills. I'm just kidding. The closer you are to the edge, the east, the less the property costs because it's more dangerous to be there. And if you can see the buildings in the front up there,
Okay.
that's where all the expensive stuff is.
So maybe it's good to also cover the crypto side of this city a bit.
Oh.
So Alex, you plan to use Ripple as a trading infrastructure for Beachhead. So what is so unique about Ripple that allows digital assets to be traded easily?
Yeah. Ripple is actually helping with the white paper that our engineers are helping. But most people don't know that Ripple is actually, the core technology is a decentralized exchange. You can settle, like I said in the video, trades in 4 seconds. So I can swap like a tank or a skin or something for a Beachhead coin, and I can trade Beachhead coin for a Bitcoin or Ethereum. Everything happens with, it's not XRP, it's not the payment usage of Ripple. It's the core trading engine that we're using, the Ripple technology, which is the only mature one. So you can trade everything for everything.
Can you give an example of specific things that you could trade, like just
Yeah.
one example?
Yeah, like a good example is just like a concert ticket, you know. I trade it for Beachhead coin, which I can trade for a tank to go out and defend the city. And, you know, like this in-game digital assets is like a very, very big market.
This this segment over here is actually based in real life. This is my hometown, Valencia. There's an architect called Calatrava, if you haven't heard of him. The city of Valencia is in debt because they built this incredible structure. They can't really make money out of it. They're in debt. So happens, this is not a mafia thing or anything. My cousin runs the place. It's just a coincidence. And what we're trying to do is we are recreating the entire complex in virtual reality. So the idea is that we'll be able to offer operas for the world. Again, the beauty of virtual reality is that it's not limited by time and space. So imagine the marketing possibilities in both directions for something of that nature. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's important to appreciate how big this market is for digital assets, right? If you make these digital assets, who are already a really big market, if you make them tradable, that really gives a bit more, or like gives a lot more value to each individual asset. So Alex, can you just mention the
let
numbers?
me give you some numbers. So everybody thinks crypto is so big, blockchain is so big. It isn't. Not so much fiat money went last year into crypto. Most of the profits, like the previous panel was saying, it's profits from Bitcoin and Ethereum that were reinvested into crypto, and that's why like the market cap is so big. But you check Tether, it's $2-3 billion. It's a lot of money, but it's only $2-3 billion that went into Tether, and fiat money that went into crypto is not very big. It's between 6 and 20 billion. The money that went into gaming last year was almost $110 billion, and of those $110 billion, $40 billion went into purchase in-game digital assets like skins or whatever, like gems, and many of these in-game digital assets you can trade. Like you can buy this sword for $1,000, but you're only going to get $100 if you try to trade it like in the secondary exchange to some forum, or maybe you're going to be scammed. But they are tradable. They're just not liquid. As liquidity providers in GSR, we are bringing liquidity into the in-game digital market, which is huge compared to crypto. And we're making all those in-game digital assets tradable against crypto.
Let me add something to that. I was at GDC, Game Developers Conference in San Francisco, like I think it was last month. And I went to see what everybody else was doing. We are not ready to exhibit. And the movement is such that the fresh, successful ICOs are looking for content desperately. They've been successful on the offering, but now they're, well, I can't say shooting on their pants. They are basically looking for content. The biggest difference is that we are not, developers are very picky creatures. We don't mix, technically speaking. I'm different in that sense. It's very difficult for a game developer who already loves the business that they're in to have some stranger coming in and telling them what to do. It doesn't mix. The difference with us is this. Our monetary system is integrated into everything that happens in that game. So think in terms of an investment of two things. You start looking at the statistical data of how many times the beachhead coin gets used compared to all this fluff. I don't want to sort of make it all fluff because there's a lot of beautiful product out there. Statistically speaking, the amount of trades we're going to have with that coin are going to be astronomical. So just think of the multiplying power of that coin. Second, the moment we have a penny made in the actual business in the city, and anybody gets the idea that it works, and it's going to continue working, multiply that by the population of the world, and imagine what the token's price is going to be.
Okay.
I'm not lecturing, I'm pointing fingers.
One more question, maybe?
Yes. So, Alex, you can view Beachhead as a laboratory, right? So what kind of new behavior can we expect from players and entrepreneurs?
Okay. I think it's a laboratory. We're just putting the world up. We're letting people use the world, and we're just setting the tools. We don't know how this is going to work. It's some sort of social experiment like Facebook. It's just a place where you can interact, where a student in India can actually attend a university course in MIT in the US, and thanks to VR. But all this needs like crypto economics to work. Like it needs some sort of like settling mechanism for people to pay for things.
Services, goods, just anything goes. We experimented with hypnotherapy. Technically speaking, obviously, virtual reality is a very good conductor to that state for hypnotherapy. So one of my sort of tenants in my house, I do Airbnb, by the way. So we already experimented with that, and we find it incredibly natural. We do remote hypnotherapies, and it works. Yeah. So imagine the multipliers for a person who has 1 or 2 clients. The physical space is very tricky, because you got to bring physical people to where you are. And that is very cost intensive. Being in virtual reality is not. So think in terms of just about any service. You can order pizza in Beachhead, for God's sake. We'll have a drone coming and serve it to you. But it won't be us, it will be Amazon.
And what about education, for example? There's examples of this. Can you give a few?
Well, you know, anybody who's in the market of like going and taking classes, going to this sort of conferences, we can have these conferences recreated in virtual reality, basically. So you can have more if you can take it.
Yeah, I think it's not only education. It's
It's
really
everything.
like all the jobs can be
Actually,
recreated like in virtual reality, and it's just so much more comfortable to socialize with people and for work or fun or entertainment or yeah.
Well, our competition, technically speaking, is Facebook, except that they don't know it yet. Because this is technically a social network. Anything that you can do today on the internet, anything that you have seen before, is all integrated into this whole
Facebook
thing.
owns Oculus Rift, so they do. Facebook owns Oculus Rift.
Yeah,
so
but
they know, they know
are
it's coming.
but we are platform independent.
Yeah.
We use all the systems
Okay.
out there. And by the way, it's not just virtual reality. That's what you do in the evening after you work. This is in all different platforms. You just play in different modes. It's all part of the same mindset. The telephone version, every version is synchronized with your time and place, so we will imitate the weather or where you are at and the time of the day that you're in. So this is a 24/7. That's what games are nowadays. It lives in the minds of the kids. It lives in the minds of the person. You consume this constantly and unabated. The virtual reality part, the numbers are not as big as the others, but that's what you do at home when you're treating yourself to an alternative entertainment system, which is a lot more entertaining than watching television. You can have your own apartment, for God's sake, and invite other people to come in. They could say, look at that painting, I've seen that before. You can put a link in there for that painting to be sold, and that's where the influencers come in. This is not hard sales. This is the future. I mean, I see it.
We can show people actually. We have a few scenes in a virtual reality demo version, and we have a booth. We are close to the entrance, and we can actually show a demo. If you are interested in this project and how this in the future will develop, then you can just contact us, and we will get back to you if we are ready to do the pre-sale.
If you never try virtual reality, and again, this is an applicable, just come and see the demos. I guarantee a wow out of you. I guarantee it. It's definitely stereoscopic reality. It's pretty tantalizing.
Yep.
Anyway, in terms of what you can do with this project, I'll just challenge any of you to think anything, and that's what we can do with this.
Yeah. It's like the internet in '95. Nobody knew.
Right.
Or the blockchain when it came out.
There's one more
nobody
point
knew.
on that, if I could. 0, that means that we have time.
No worries.
I think in terms of this, the real world is 3D, right? You can touch the product and seal it, whatever. We don't have that yet, smell. But you have to go to a physical location. Imagine the expenditure. Humans have learned how to do very difficult things. So this is even easier in that sense. If we manage to do all these things, the internet, multiple products you can go in. But it's 2D, it's linear. You can't get around all the information.
Yeah.
Now imagine virtual reality is a selling tool.
Yeah.
It's the real world and the internet, unlimited amount of products and full dimensional. We can actually sell cars. You can actually drive the cars.
Yeah.
And if you like them, buy them.
I have a few kids. I have 5 kids, and I got really scared when I tried this at home, and they tried it on. You know, they're so addicted to tablets and telephones, and they just wouldn't get it out. They didn't want to go back to reality. They were like stuck in the VR. This is scary. So I thought I really have to implicate myself to make this properly, so that at least they have like a safe experience or a good experience in the future. VR is addictive because you are in another reality, and it's just so much more than the phone.
It's not going to substitute reality. You're still going to have to go to the bathroom. So people just, there's nothing to worry about, okay? There's nothing really to worry about. It's like going to the movies, except you're in it.
Yeah.
That's, it's that simple. One thing, though, we want to say thank you to Joang Lee for...
Thanks, Johan.
We kind of run into this in 2 weeks, is what you saw. We put it together in 2 weeks. The material was there in various forms. We're very happy to have you here. We're very pleased. We're actually going to stay an extra week because we're based in Beachhead in Hong Kong. The idea of the needle buildings, which is like very small footprints, like hundreds of floors up, that is something that's going to work for us.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.